Wait, is this how you do it? Yes, this is how you do it. Okay, all right. I'm gonna start that intro over, which is good because I need the caffeine in my system. Caffeine in my system. It's gonna be it's gonna be much better. All right, so hello, I wanted to do this stream because it was brought to my attention that there was a certain piece of artwork, or I guess a video. I don't know if I haven't seen it, so I don't know if you would call it art per se necessarily, but there has been some discourse, and I haven't spoken about it, even though I've spoken about it in Japanese on Instagram to my very few followers. I've spoken about Black Lives Matter, I've spoken about discrimination of people of color in the United States, and then also how it is relevant in Japan. But I've had a much harder time talking about the issues of Asian hate that are going on in America. And I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite because I was quiet about that. But it's really hard to speak about it in Japanese with the amount of nuance that I need. Because and here's where it's getting relevant is that a lot of those issues just don't apply in mainland Japan. So it's really hard to understand that the historical background and context and communicate what's going on to Japan. And I think as far as like in America, people have blamed the coronavirus basically on just generally people who look Asian, I think, and they're just basically white people being being horrible fools as they are wont to do, and committing a lot of racially based hate crimes, which are really, really terrible. However, in Japan, it's really hard to see a correlation to that. There's not really an equivalent discussion here, and going deeper than that is a little bit, I guess, pointless, and it would maybe be like self-indulgent because a lot of the issues with discrimination that are experienced by Asian people in America are not experienced by Asian people here, because here, Japan, Japanese culture is the dominant culture, so uh, there's not really the issue of people saying like hey corona or something. In fact, it's the opposite here, where there's a little bit of a lot of discrimination against foreigners. Like I've seen threads where like offices have made separate offices for Japanese people and for foreigners. I think that's probably the extreme, but it's hard to have this conversation in Japan. So that's why I haven't had it at all, basically. And I'm like, I'm just gonna keep prancing around and enjoying my kawaii life every single day with my Nissan. I'm just kidding. Have that. I don't have a Nissan. Waifu. I need to get on these things. Okay, so which brings us to this. I was scrolling through Instagram, which is great because I was on Twitter for a couple weeks and it did horrible things to my mental health. But Instagram is lovely. So I used the Instagram Discover feature and I followed a new person. And then, lo and behold, there's some spicy discourse coming up that I did want to talk about. And this person's account seemed like something I would really love and have everything in common with them and be like, you are great, yes. Just they are a drag performer. I think he is probably the pronouns we're going for. He is a drag performer, and then I saw like, whoa, okay, what what is this video? And I was really challenged on it in a lot of my beliefs, and I was like finding myself really vehemently disagreeing with a lot of the things that he said, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's maybe something that I should talk about and challenge myself with. So that's a good thing. So it was actually this person, Shay Show, and I think they go, hey, hey, I'm Shay, which is really cute. Oh, and maybe okay, gender non-conforming. Okay, so maybe he, him. Then I'm guessing, and then we've got the original person here, Jason Kwan, and they are non-binary, I believe. I don't have pronouns here though. But anywho, I'll let them go ahead and use their voices and say what this is all about. And I'm gonna be commenting on it. And I'm also going to be talking about the things where I have experienced a lot of friction. So this is gonna be like a lot of like white people thinking, and I'm sorry. It's coming. It's coming at you. Oh, this is my stream, so I'm gonna be doing that. So like that's your trigger warning. It's your trigger warning, white people saying things. Hey. Alright. Oh, and then here's my challenge number one is getting the sound to work on this. I'm just gonna make sure we got the sound.
Hi, my name is Jason Kwan, and I want to educate you a little bit on how cultural appropriation directly leads to violent experiences by those who are being appropriated. So, on June 6th, 2021, a man attacked me on the London Underground, and it was an Asian hate crime. It was an example of how cultural appropriation by non Asian people leads directly to Asian people experiencing violence. I got onto this tube, and there were three other people on it. They're all white. And as I sat down, this man instantly bolted towards me and sat opposite me. And he started to shout in my face. At this point, I turned off my earphones, I took my earpods out, and I froze. I was really nervous. And this man started shouting racist language at me. He started screaming in my face, Kung Fu, Kung Fu, do you want to fight me in Kung Fu? And then he shouted at me, he said Hong Kong, Korea, and just mocking me while doing high kicks and throwing his hands around as if he was performing Kung Fu. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I felt nervous. I thought this was it. There's nothing I can do. And I looked to my left to see if the other people would intervene. They kept their heads down. And at this point, the man lunged at me and took a swing at my head.
Okay, so just to say, holy shit, what the fuck? That is scary as all get out. And that I have to say is something that I have never experienced in my life. Like obviously not because of like the kung fu stuff. Uh no one would look at me and say that obviously, but also having someone on an actual train in a subway actually tried it like attack me, that's never happened. So I just imagine how freaking shocking and frightening that would be. I think probably New York City and then I guess London are like the places where that could happen. Things like that would never ever happen here. Like so just that level of like being violently encountered by a stranger. I'm going to talk more about that, but first of all, like holy shit, this poor human being. I just like it's like very intense.
And at this point, I bolted. I just dashed to the door, and it was just as the tube doors are opening, and I managed to get out. He did not follow me, and the doors closed. After that, I stood on the platform, completely shaken up, and I just cried. In that instant moment, thought about how do I protect myself from situations like this? Where can I get pepper spray? Do I have to carry a weapon? Do I have to learn self defense? These were the things that I was thinking about. The reason he wanted to fight me was because he saw that I was Asian. And he thought, great, I'm an Asian person, so I'll know how to do Kung Fu. So let me entertain him in his Asian fantasies of me fighting with him. And that's why he took a swing at my head. That exact same day, on June 6th, Santi Storm released their single Samurai Princess and was masquerading and parodying as an Asian person on stage, making fun and mocking and reducing Asian experiences to throwing a katana around where their backup dancers are wearing Chinese robes, while they were profiting off of cultural appropriation.
Okay, so I haven't seen the any of these performances and I haven't seen the videos because they were taken down when I learned about this. But I think significant is that it's the same day, and also that notice, and I'm gonna bring that come back to this, is that the performer was using a sword, and his backup dancers um, were wearing Chinese dresses, which are not the same culture.
I, that day, was recovering from being attacked on the tube. That is the stark contrast of the realities I experience as an Asian person as opposed to a white person. And that is why cultural appropriation directly leads to violence, but the violence is never ever experienced by the person doing it. It is only experienced by the cultures that that person is appropriating. The violence I experienced on the tube is a direct result of people like Santi Storm parading as a parody of my life and my experiences. Santi will never experience this violence as a result of their actions. Only me and my Asian siblings will. We cannot ignore the Asian hate crimes happening around the world. We cannot forget the Atlanta shootings of the female sex workers who were killed by a white man because of the way Asians are portrayed. What cultural appropriation does is it reduces people to a stereotype, and always a negative stereotype. It's when people of privilege can appropriate someone else's culture to make them look good with an aesthetic, but the harm done by those narratives will only be felt by those who are being marginalized and those who are being appropriated. Culture
Just to say, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but like this is the part where when I was watching it, I started feeling a lot of pushback and going like, okay, well, how does a drag performer actually cause this harm and cause this stereotype? And I was kind of thinking about that at this point.
cultural appropriation affects Asian people differently around the world. Someone experiencing racism in Japan is not the same as a Japanese person experiencing racism in the UK. Those are not comparable people.
Right. And like I think this is the point where he clearly preempted a lot of the things that I usually think about to dismiss. A lot of Japanese issues of Japanese cultural appropriation is that I'm like over here and I know that people saying kawaii is just a word, and people love it when you wear kimono, and this and that and the other thing. So me thinking, okay, the right way very is not to be, it's not like a religious thing or something like that. People here are perfectly fine with people using Japanese culture and they're super happy about it. So that's what I use to just kind of dismiss everything across the board a lot of the time. And uh, Jason Kwan is really careful about um, lampshading that and saying, okay, it's different between a UK Japanese person and a Japanese person.
Asians are not a monolith. To all those people who I've seen on Instagram saying they don't know whether it was their place to speak up and they didn't know if they were to call racism out. This is exactly what being an active bystander is. All this anti-racism work that you're supposed to have been doing in the last year and a half is to intervene and to amplify our voices and to call racism out when you see it, not only when you think it's okay to jump on a bandwagon. There's a huge difference. Your allyship is only performative if you are not speaking up for the communities affected by racism. Your privilege allows you to be passive, to ignore these issues, but you also have the privilege to call things out and to change the narrative for those who are marginalized. This is a prime example of your allyship failing the Asian community right now. And that's why you and we all need to do better.
Well, okay, so and then like now we're getting into like, oh no, I'm a bad ally. Which yeah, he's he's making a request here. He's saying, uh, there's been a failure. And I agree that there has been many failures on both sides. I think that the incident that he experienced was obviously horrible and horrific. And I also think it's reasonable to assume that the video Samurai Princess has rightfully been taken down. But I was feeling when I first watched this still, okay, how do you get from A to B? And did does a drag queen wearing like slightly Asian looking outfits and doing a performance really lead to violence on the train? And that's where the disconnect was, and I think still is for me on a logical level. And I was almost going to comment, which was obviously not a great idea. And I stopped myself from doing that because that's me trying to process logically something that has someone's actual experience and something that has happened to them and their reaction to that experience. And that's not appropriate, and it's not a good look, because when someone is actually having an experience and then someone on the outside is processing that like, oh, that is not logical, then like what that would be is that's kind of a dick move, right? So what we need in this situation is more empathy and listening and less logical categorizing, which, but once again, my urge was to categorize and logically parse this out, which I will be doing. But more important is to acknowledge that this person's experience was shitty as fuck. And on that same day that you have someone like being kung fu master on you and like actually attacking you while you're just riding a subway, and then having to watch some really, I'm assuming that the video was crappy. Some really crappy video that's like mocking your culture and using the same like hayat kung fu kind of uh imagery. Yeah, that's definitely a parallel. So if you put yourself into his shoes, then absolutely it makes sense, and it makes sense that it would feel really shitty. Is is what I'm gonna say first about that.
The only fault in my experience on June 6th when I was attacked on the tube is that I was Asian. I will face violence for simply being Asian, and you wouldn't. So it's fine to say you didn't know that this was harmful. But for me, your cultural appropriation comes at a price. And the price is violence, is prejudice, is the way I am treated. It is mockery. It is me being demeaned. In conclusion, cultural appropriation is not just bad and disliked, it directly affects and leads to violence. So please do better. And don't make Asian people do the work all over again. You do the work. You call them out. You, as a non Asian person, can say, hey, that's racist. Racism does not belong to the community that has been affected by it. It is you who should be doing the work to help amplify our voices and be like, hey, that's not right. We all have a responsibility to do better and to be an active bystander. Hi, my name is Jason Kwan, and I want to educate you a little bit on.
Yeah. So at this point I was like, okay, I can see that it sucked, but what am I supposed to do about it? Was kind of my white person reaction to that. And then also all of those things coming up, like, well, actually, all these, my well actually voice was like going crazy because some of the things that were said weren't necessarily 100% true or logical. Like there is no logical conclusion from like going to a drag performance and seeing something that's a stereotyped caricature, and then does that make someone a violent train attacker? Obviously not, right? But from an aesthetic view, I can appreciate it. Um, so then going back to the second Instagrammer, let's see if we can get the sound. or also I think also a drag
Hey,
performer.
I'm Shay Shay.
And also I think the person that I followed initially, because like look at this aesthetic, beautiful. Um, look at this. Okay, okay. Moving forward. Focus on content. Here we go.
Hey, I'm Shay Shay, and I'd like to explain why the calling out of Santee Storm, the apology, and the Samurai Princess single should never have happened. Here's why. When I first came across Santee's song Samurai Princess, I decided instead of publicly calling
Okay, I'm gonna say too, um, this one was real spicy and it like hit me right in the feels because I'm like, oh, I like this person. I want to be their friend, and then have them be like, white people need to do better. And then having me actually disagree with a lot of their points throughout the video. So that really sucks. But I think I am going to indulge in a little bit of, well, actually, in this. But the first thing that he said,
Hey, I'm Shay Shay, and I'd like to explain why the calling out of Santee Storm, the apology, and the Samurai Princess single should never have happened.
that's right on the money. And if there's one takeaway you have from all this, I think that is the most important piece of the puzzle. And I will be coming back to that. But first, let us delve into this breakdown of what has happened.
Here's why. When I first came across Santee's song Samurai Princess, I decided instead of publicly calling her out on the internet that I would call in. I truly believe that when we have private conversations, especially with people in our community, we're able to achieve progress. So I sent her a message just explaining that me, as a Japanese person, was very uncomfortable with the single. I told her that samurais are a really important part of Japanese history and that unless you're of Japanese heritage, I don't believe that you should be playing with those aesthetics.
Okay, so here's where my what if engine was like, or but if, but actually, give me my coffee. But actually, actually, so,
I explained
so what Shay Shay's saying is that if you're not of Japanese heritage, you shouldn't play with Japanese aesthetics. And I hear that, but I think that that is 100% a false statement. Doing art involves playing with lots of different aesthetics. It's just part of the battlefield, okay? Now, I will get back to more detail about that, but here's kind of my like, but actually engine going on. But what's happened so far is Shay Shay has called in, has sent a message to this person, this drag performer. Let's pull up. Let's get an image. All right, here's Santee Storm. Here's the performer we're talking about. Okay, also a very cute Instagram. Just gonna say it. Really good costume design skills. I'm flattened by it. Okay, and also really nice muscles. Look at this. I think he's got like a boy mode and a girl mode. So, anyways, moving forward, this person decided to DM them and tell them, "Hey, you should have chilled on the samurai thing, right?"
to her that cultural appropriation and discrimination are all linked to the spike that we've seen in Asian hate. At first, I was really glad that I had this conversation privately because Santee was extremely respectful of everything that I had to say and really seemed to be taking it on. She did explain that she tried very hard not to cross the line into cultural appropriation, that she just merely wanted to show appreciation for Japanese culture of which she is a fan. She explained to me the history of samurai and said that because they are no longer in existence, that they are merely a part of history, that she felt that they were up for grabs kind of to be.
Okay, and then here's where uh that's super cringe to like have someone send you a message and be like, "Hey, can you chill on the samurai stuff?" Actually, samurais in 1876, and you send them a whole thing about the history of samurais. Like, that's a little bit much. And then I felt personally called out because now I'm saying, well, actually, anyone can look at different aesthetics. So I'm feeling called out too at this
Be able to
point.
take and play with. She did note that she wouldn't have tried to emulate being something that still exists, like a geisha.
She's like, geishas are okay, but samurais aren't. And I'm like, what? Like you can't. Okay, and here's like this is more where I've come to is you can't research your way through cultural appropriation. You can't just be like, I've done 7 Wikipedia searches and I have found that it is okay. This one is okay factually. Therefore, please accept my Wikipedia searching. Geishas aren't okay. Samurais are. Like who? I'm sorry. Like
and recognizes that that type of representation leads to abuse, discrimination, and violence against Asian people. But what I tried to explain is that she was unaware that representation like samurai, ninja, kung fu fighters also add to the violence that Asian people experience.
and then here as well, I also have problems with the conclusion that using these aesthetics in art leads directly to violence. I do not see that as being the either correct. I do not see it as being either correct or useful, even if it was correct. So that's kind of the opinion problem that I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Shay Shay talk though more because the substance of what he's talking about is not necessarily about that well actually stuff.
I also noted that just because a piece of cultural history exists specifically in the past does not mean that then it is up for grabs, free for all for anyone outside of that culture to use and play with for their own personal branding. She told me that she understood that the title, Samurai Princess, could be considered a gray area of cultural appropriation, and that because of the spike in Asian hate, she was going to take everything I say 100% seriously. Now, if any of this has sounded familiar to you so far, it's because everything she said to me is exactly what she's now released in her apology. She explained to me that the look was inspired by fetish wear and video game characters.
That is also cringe. That what happened is she sent this sorry, he sent this request to the uh performer Sandy Storm. Shay Shay sent a request to Sandy Storm, and then Sandy Storm sent this long ass thing, and then actually copy pasted it for their apology later for his apology later. Sorry, I can't do any pronouns now, you guys. It's not gonna work. I just stopped being able to use any of them, and I'm just trying to see if Twitch is still up because I've been running into technical difficulties. Oh, it's gonna be one of those days. Okay. I'll get back onto it, I promise, very soon. Also, feel free to chat. Um, okay, and we're back.
And shared with me a mood board. Not the public mood board that she put in her apology, but her original mood board, which
Okay, and then having a.
includes
I'm
a lot of
listening
fetish
now.
wear, but also includes lots of culturally appropriated outfits worn by white people. I flagged with her that images on her mood board were indeed cultural appropriation. I also explained to her that
Exhibit A, your mood board. I'm sorry, I'm making fun of this, but like, I want to get down to the substance. I'm coming back
because
to the
of the
mood
trope
board.
of Asians being these secret fighters with extra special skills, we often get aggression thrown at our way, assuming that we'll be able to fight back using these magical karate skills. These racial stereotypes, specifically of Asian women being submissive, coy, subservient, geishas and China dolls, and Asian men being secret ninja fighters with samurai sword skills, makes us seem less like humans and more like caricatures.
Okay, that is the harmful stereotype, and that is what white people use against Asian people in America and the UK and probably other white ass countries.
That's why we're often seen as foreign, strange, other. We're viewed as less than. We're seen as less than human, which is why it makes it so easy for people to target Asians with violence. Santi made a good point in pointing out that she has a fan base in Japan. But I explained to her that in Japan, where the dominant race and culture is Japanese, her as a Westerner coming in and adopting some of their cultural practices and aesthetics is celebrated. But here in the West,
Yes, yeah. So right on. Once again, completely like lampshading and hitting the point right on the head there.
where Asians do not have a level footing, where we are already less than, when our culture is taken by the dominant race, watered down to just aesthetic, we are once again seen as less than. In Santi's song, she describes herself as a samurai princess and as a Japanese cartoon, but she does assert that the character is merely based on a video game character. Now, the problem is the type of video game characters that she's based herself on are of an ethnic origin. They are video game characters who are indeed Asian. Their outfits have elements of traditional garment in what they wear. I'd like to draw a comparison to Disney princesses. Some of the Disney princesses have ethnic origins. If we think about Jasmine, if we think about Mulan, should someone from outside of those ethnic origins be able to dress up as that character, or would we blatantly be able to see that that is a form of yellow face or brown face? Santi made
And so I'm trying so hard to agree with Shay Shay because Shay Shay is very cute and is coming from a place is saying the right has the right is trying to explain something. And then some of the examples just like really throw me out of it. Like anyone can dress up as Jasmine or Mulan. You just don't just don't like wear like weird makeup to make your skin look different or something. Don't like use eye tape because that's just a weird look. Don't. I think no one should use eye tape. They use it a lot here, but that's my opinion. Um, but like if you've got like a kid and they want to dress up as their favorite Disney princess and their favorite Disney princess is not of the same race as them, like yes, like what who of course you can dress up as Mulan or Jasmine. Get out, get out. No, don't get out, Shay Shay. Stay safe, Shay Shay. But trying to stay focused on the intent of this video.
a really good point that a lot of you might be feeling as well. Lots of things in pop culture have taken from Asian aesthetics that weren't actually made by Asian people. And that has all happened in the past, but that doesn't mean that it was okay. And finally, us marginalized people are feeling more empowered to speak up for ourselves. And when we do, everyone needs to stop and listen. In our final messages, I thanked Santi for being so receptive to all of my feedback. That feedback was not shaped just by me, it was shaped by the entire Bitten Peach family, and I want to shout out my Bitten Peach family for helping me do this. It was truly a team effort. I told Santi she was in a very unique position. She could make a public statement, take some ownership, and acknowledge what she'd done without having been called out for it. I told her that I thought the community, her fans, would take it way better if she were to actually own up to something without having to be defensive, without having to be attacked by an external force. I waited for a response, but in response, she told me, I've decided I can't make a statement about my song or costume being harmful or offensive. I've worked on this project for over a year and put nothing but love into it and put so much effort into trying to not be offensive or ignorant. So for me to make a statement saying otherwise would go against what I believe to be true.
Sorry, I'm just cringing so hard at this message. Like, I don't know this Santi Storm person, but like, ah, come back. No, I think I lost it. Oh wait, you can still see it. No, no, it's gone. I lost it. Here we go. We're coming back. We're back.
Worked on this project for over a year and put nothing but love into it and put so much effort into trying to not be offensive or ignorant. So for me to make a statement saying otherwise would go against what I believe to be true and would be hypocritical of me. because I plan to continue to promote my song and project. In her first message to me, she'd said, "This is a very serious topic, and I will 100% not make light of anything you are saying." Something she's also said in her apology. Santi's now deleted all the posts of Samurai Princess and released a story apology that will be gone by the time you probably go look for it. That apology is mostly copy and pasted from the messages she sent to me. Yet when I asked and suggested she make an apology and offered support from me and the Bitten Peach team in doing so, she rejected the idea and told me she no longer wanted to talk about the subject with me. It shouldn't have gotten to this point. She shouldn't have had to make this big public apology.
Okay, here's where I'm like, I'm getting into it. I'm like, yes, Shay Shay, I love this indignance. I love this outrage. This is good. We need more of this.
We shouldn't have had to call her out publicly the way we did. Calling in and having a respectful conversation in private should have been enough. The voice of a few Asian people coming to you privately to explain to you why something you're doing is harmful and offensive to a community should be taken seriously. It should not take hundreds of people calling you out online for you to take something like this seriously. It shouldn't take famous drag race queens commenting on you to take ownership for you to take ownership. But the Samurai Princess single should have never happened in the first place. Santi said she worked on this for over a year and there were many other artists involved in the video, in the costume. Why didn't anyone say anything? Now people are coming forward, the designer, Bang London, people who booked her like Stella Marbles from Cookie Jar, saying they felt uncomfortable the whole time. If you felt uncomfortable, why didn't you speak up? Because you stayed silent, because of the culture of silence that you have contributed to. Once again, the duty of calling out racism fell to the people who the racism causes the most pain and trauma.
Okay, so just to put a little bit of context, Santi Storm is making these music videos and singles, basically like music kind of reminiscent of like RuPaul's singles, and he's doing them kind of self-produced, and you can tell that they're self-produced, but or something like that, low budge. They're not big endeavors like an actual pop star's music video would be, but they do give almost that same visual impact in some ways. So there was obviously a team. There were people working with uh, Santi Storm to make this happen, to create this. So that I think is a really valid criticism that nobody spoke up about it.
If you claim to be an ally to the Asian community, if you want to stop Asian hate, then you need to do the work. You need to educate yourself. Don't come knocking on Asian people's doors asking for free education. Educate yourself. The internet has a wealth of knowledge. And then you need to speak up and step up, because it should not fall on our shoulders to do all of the labor. And now there could be some of you who are wondering, but haven't there been things like this before? Haven't we seen Gwen Stefani's entire career? Haven't we seen Nicki Minaj's Chun-Li? Don't people love to borrow from Asian aesthetic, and isn't that fine? It has happened before. And Asians did speak up. People didn't listen. Some Asians didn't bother speaking up because they're so exhausted from experiencing this racism constantly. But what we've seen over the past year and a half is this culture has contributed into seeing Asians as submissive pushovers that you can push down or walk into the places where we work and shoot us dead. And I'll tell you right now, me and my Asian family are done being silent, and we will not be silenced. Hey, I'm Shay Shay, and I'd like to explain why the calling out of Santi Storm, the apology,
Okay,
and
I love it. It got like so strong in the end. And I think that's the most important piece, is that the whole thing shouldn't have happened. It should not, the world should not have ended that way. And then what happened is that uh, Shay Shay went ahead and talked to, apparently, there is a British collective of Asian artists like doing cool performance art and drag stuff. And they go and have shows, and they sat down and talked about, hey, this really terrible video came out. What do we do about it? How do we talk to Santi Storm in a way that we're going to be heard? So all that consideration went into it before even the first message for Santi Storm to then just sort of ignore it and be like, sorry, it's my video. I'm not going to take it down. And then, get called out and then go ahead and take it down. So, okay, let me come back to that. So, really, where the truth in this lies, and I think this is where everyone gets so gosh darn confused about cultural appropriation, is it's not logical that, like, doing, wearing a costume is going to cause B hate crime to happen. That's not where the harm is. It's from that person's perspective. Okay, I got assaulted on the train by someone making weird kung fu sounds, and then I have to watch this badly done. I'm assuming it was badly done. I'm sorry. That's an assumption I'm going to go ahead and make. It's important to my argument. There's this crappy racist video that maybe not, I don't know if it's fully racist or not. I've not seen the video. I've not seen this video. But that gives me that same vibe, right? And from a subjective point of view, that's where it is. It's a thing about someone's feelings. And I think what the problem is in our culture, we have this thing where the second someone has a feeling, it's invalid, which is actually the opposite of how culture works. The whole reason we have culture is because we all are humans who have feelings, who respect each other's feelings, who respect each other's cultures. So if you're trying to like logic something in absolutes, obviously it's not going to work. Cultural appropriation is about respecting people and respecting their feelings. So that's, I think, the big issue. And the reason that I think Shay Shay was using all these examples is trying to get away from, don't do this because it makes me feel bad. But that is the exact reason why you shouldn't do it, because it makes people feel like shit and it's treating them like they're not human beings. So that's like my, I guess, conclusion to all this. I'm going to go deeper into more details, but kind of dropping some of these facts and comparisons and things like that is almost irrelevant to the discussion, because you can't just say, oh, cultural item X should not be done by race Y. You can't math it out like that. The fact is that it's hurtful when someone takes your culture and uses it to physically hurt you, and then kind of gleefully, ignorantly also uses it for fun and profit. So that feeling is why cultural appropriation sucks so much. And the only people who are feeling it are the people whose cultures are being appropriated. So I think it is something about feelings. And the reason we should not do it is because we respect each other and we respect each other's feelings. Now, I went ahead and got my haircut the other day, and I'm like, please make me look like a fascist because I want to appropriate fascist culture. Now, if some fascists came and say, hey, that's our hairstyle, then I would say, fuck off because I do not respect you, right? So it's okay to appropriate. I mean, I guess I'm going to say okay. It's okay to appropriate culture if you do not respect that person's culture and you are willing to stand for that, right? So that's the reason why Santi Storm was in the wrong here, is because this is part of Santi Storm's performance community. And they're saying, hey, this is shit. Don't do it, right? And if Santi Storm respects those people and respects those performers, then he shouldn't have done it, right? So the fact that it was ignored, like, and we're already the fact that the video got made without taking, look, all these people I think are in the UK doing drag stuff, and they're all Asian. And Sandy Storm would have had to know one of them to say, oh, hey, I'm working on this video. I'm using some Asian themes. Can you please help me talk it through? Right? And any of these people could have given advice on whether or not to do that, on how to incorporate Asian themes. on how that would work in this specific culture in the UK of performance drag and what they're trying to accomplish, all of these things would have been the right choice to do a year ago. They said that they were working on it for a whole year and did not consult literally anyone in this actual culture with the stake in the situation. So that's the biggest problem. And then going ahead to say, actually, I can't take it down. Well, that's a choice that anyone can make, right? And if you're on the internet, you're going to get people hating on you and you're going to get people disagreeing with you all the time. That's just part of existing, and that's part of like making art and doing stuff. Okay, because I'm I am educated Doge now. That's part of doing things. Is people are not going to like it sometimes, but the question is, do I respect those people enough, right? And sometimes if they're an online troll from like some online forum that is for trolling people, obviously you don't respect those people, so you're not going to listen to them. But if they're drag performers in your own community, you should listen to them because it's their respect that you need in your culture, in your community, right? So I'm weighing thesis statement right here. That's what I think is the big problem going on here. Um, let's have a look at Sandy Storm's final apology. So at first, I think he did a story apology, which I missed, and then he went ahead and revised it and put it up on his wall. So I'm going to read it out. Would like to sincerely apologize to anyone that my content hurt, made uncomfortable, triggered, and for anyone who put emotional labor into talking and educating me and others in the real life dancers on the real life dancers. Okay, on the real life harm, I guess. I don't know what they were trying to say. The real life dancers cultural dangers. On the real life dangers cultural appropriation can cause. I take full responsibility for putting out a body of work that was misjudged. That was misjudged from conception and for not reacting appropriately when this was brought to my attention initially. And for any hurt or additional emotional labor, I apologize that you misjudged my work. Sorry, I love it so much. Okay. Any hurt or additional emotional labor anyone has put in since to have the content erased and hopefully avoid any non-Asian performer inspired by the incredibly rich cultural history of Asia from making a similar error in judgment. It was an error in judgment, I think. The only way to support Asian culture is to support Asian creators by booking them, working with them, sharing their art. I was wrong and I will do better. And this, okay, here we did hit it. Like, Santi Storm should have done collaborations. Like, if Santi Storm likes Asian culture, he definitely should have made friends with some of these performers and done collaborations with them. There are ways to go about it. And just the fact that that didn't happen, like that's saying, like I don't know how big the UK is. Tokyo's huge, but it's still small. Like if you're doing something similar to someone else, you're gonna know who they are. You're gonna know what their deal is, and you're gonna have an impression of them. So I think that what's going on in the undercurrent is that okay, why Santi are you not like in tight with these people? Might be a reason having to do with you and your personality and your biases. Um, right. It took a while to realize that the incredible support I have had from Japanese fans based in Japan is not reflective of the experience of the Asian community. It's not reflective of the experience the Asian community have in the UK, especially in the last year, and that this type of work can be dangerous in continuing the stereotype that puts my Asian friends in real danger in day to life. So the last year being Corona and people, the increase in Asian hate crimes due to Corona. I have spent the last few days reading, discussing, and educating myself on this and talking to my team and people from the Asian community, and I now see it as a long standing issue that needs to change. All of my references were wrong in the first place. Non Asian artists profiting from Asian culture is hugely problematic, but because it has been so widespread, I didn't fully see why, and that was a mistake. Right? So I don't know if Sandy Storm's making profit. Like, it seems like right on the edge of, like, okay, maybe, yeah, I think you're probably maybe making a living off of this. Kind of on the, like an edge case to me. I don't know how much profit has been made by this video, but yeah, that is a problem. Just saying, like when it happens mainstream, it kind of sucks when there's like a really nice video being made and like no Asian people got to benefit. Um, as were many of my inspirations, I did not fully understand the significance and importance that the samurai hold, and did my utmost preparing for this project to be respectful and honor rather than harm a culture I hold so dear to my heart. But I missed the mark, and I will do better. Okay, I don't know what the thing is about samurai. I'm sorry, samurai aren't that special. Okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go on a little tangent with samurai. Samurai are cool. Samurai also don't exist, so you can't hurt their feelings. That is true. And people in Japan love samurai. But the main reason isn't because it's like sacred or something like that. Oh, hey, sorry, I just now saw the chat. I don't have my OBS up. Um, there it is. Hi. Hello, hello. Thank you for commenting. Ah, oh, I need to like delete that other chat. Crap, sorry, we're on a big tangent now. I need to figure out how to delete the chats again because I always forget how to do it. Because like I had the chat up and then I didn't. But okay. Oh, and thanks for complimenting what I am wearing. I don't. Oh, there we go. A trash box. Yes, go to trash. Okay, fantastic. Did I do it? I did it. Huh. Okay. So moving back to samurai. Okay, you can only get this out of people if you get them if they're like over 60 and they're drunk and they're like a weird old cigarette smelling man. But like a lot of Japanese people think that the samurai honor thing is like part of the Japanese blood and DNA or whatever, and they think that that's what separates Japanese people from everyone else is that like racially they have the samurai spirit and that makes them more moral than every other race. So, I do not have any soft spots for samurais. Like samurais are cool as fuck, but like I don't know who's like, "Oh no, you're my beloved culture is besmirched by you using samurai themes in drag." Like I'm sorry, I'm on the side of like yes, let's besmirch the samurai spirit because it's rooted in ethnocentrism. So sorry, I don't like samurai that much. I don't like him that much. I'm not gonna like stand samurai, yo. Uh, right. Moving on. So back to Sandy Storm's apology. We are apologizing for a very problematic video that was released and has now been deleted. Um, I wanted to make sure I fully understood the ramifications before making a permanent statement on this matter. And while my distributor removes the song from all available platforms, this should hopefully be gone from the final remaining places within 48 hours. Any profits made from streaming or performing Samurai Princess will be donated to a charity supporting the Asian community struggling directly in the UK, for which I will show proof. Okay, good. I would like to urge my fans and anyone watching to listen, read, support, share, pay, book, and look for the incredible Asian performers creating incredible work right here in the UA. And going forward, I will ensure to work and listen to anyone who my content offends. But my gosh, have I learned my lesson, and let's hope it never comes to this for anyone again. I was too slow, I was wrong, and I will do better. I will be sharing resources on how to support the Asian community in the UK as a start in my reparations on all my platforms. I will be actively searching to work with Asian performers in order to support the culture I love whilst not profiting from it. I am so sorry. I have never wanted to cause harm in any of my work and should have listened. If my content hurts even one person, no matter how long I spent on it, it is a mistake. That's really good. That's a good spot. That's a good spot to be at. Because that's what it's about. It's about hurting people. It's about hurting people's feelings. That's what it's. I'm gonna keep saying it, but like I'm sorry. Like our generation has been damaged by like the facts don't care about your feelings thing. Feelings are sometimes more important than facts. Um, I'm so sorry. I've never wanted to cause harm in any of my work and should have listened. If my content hurts even one person, no matter how long I spent on it, it is a mistake. I've only ever wanted to bring joy with my art, and I am so sorry I failed. With all my heart and love, Santi Storm. Right? And so I'm going to be doing like my well actuallys and I'm going to be indulging in kind of my opinions because hey, this is my stream. But also it's not really my opinion that matters. It's the UK performance community's opinion and the Asian people in UK who are directly hurt by this person's kind of lack of awareness, right? So it's not like I'm gonna say my opinion, but that doesn't mean that this isn't all well. It is the natural order of things. This is how it must be. Let's see. Samurai were whitewashed like knights. Samurai treated everyone who wasn't their equal or above like trash. Yes. They would use the average civilian like they didn't exist, or hide and test to see if they could chop off their heads in one stroke as a test of their sword's sharpness. Yeah, yeah. Samurai were not. They're not nice people. They. I mean, yeah, they're cool. I love samurai movies. I like samurai aesthetic. The samurai aesthetic. I love Kenshin. It's super cool. But like anyone saying like, "Oh yeah, we need to bring back the sam," no, no, they deserve to be in ancient history. Um, I don't know who's like fucking precious about samurai here. Okay, so moving forward, I kind of do want to. I guess it. Once again, we're indulging some more. I want to indulge a little bit in looking at some of Santi Storm's recent art. It seems like he's been basing a lot of his work off of like Japanese themes, which I'm actually like it's very now. It's very now. I actually kind of like dig it. I like how he's got this boy mode, girl mode thing going on. It's kind of cute. But that's kind of where it ends. And I bet she's maybe she, he. I'm because like like sometimes say she for drag performers. Um, I haven't actually watched any of these performances, but uh, I get the feeling like it probably looks good on stage, and I can see why people would love it from Japan because it looks good. It's pretty. It's shiny. It is very white. I can see why people would like it. But here's my challenge: is I'm gonna try to show this video without the audio, and I'm gonna have to just describe the audio to you. And you're welcome to on your secondary device watch along with me if you like. I mean, I don't know. Hey, Shay, Shay. Where's the actual video here? Okay, we're gonna pull it up here, and we are gonna turn off the this audio. I think that's gonna work, and we're gonna go ahead and double check the audio is actually off. Oh, it is. Yes, good. Okay, so here's the video. This is not the video that got taken down. It's one that came out in January before that, but I just kind of want to react to it. It's called yeah, I'm sorry to be like plugging this person, but like I have like what 4 viewers. I'm sorry. Like you can, it's not enough views that's gonna like mess with them, and I'll go ahead and maybe mock it a little bit. Yeah, they have 17K views, so this is not a big operation, you guys. This is not a big operation. This is very intra community that I am just jumping onto because I follow people like this a lot. Okay, so just double check that it's not going on stream. I don't think it is. Tell me if the music plays though, because I will jump on it. Okay. So you can tell that this is a pretty talented performer, that his costumes are really nice. I don't know if he makes them himself, but like look at this costume. It's really good. It's really nice. And really try he really tried kind of hard to make it work. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that don't sit right about this video. Um, like to be honest, if I were involved in something of this quality, I would be super happy. But like you can already see red flags. is just okay. And when you get to this part, there's this like part where they sing and they're like princess bubblegum na, na, na. It's like super flat. It's using like these minor tones that make it sound just downright creepy. And then you look at the choreography. The choreography is like cleanly done, but it's really not great. The cinematography is not great. The set pieces, look at the colors on them. They're like not quite fitting with the rest of the video. So you can tell already that there's just like in general some lacking in terms of taste and vision and seeing what you're actually doing. And then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and skip. I'm gonna go ahead and skip a little bit ahead. Oh, and bless their hearts, bless the dancers' hearts. Look at them. Oh, they're doing their best. The dancers, there's nothing wrong with the dancers. They're doing a great job. This is I do like the bathtub scene. And I do like the boy mode. It's cute. I like that. That's it. Okay, you get to this part. We have some Hello Kitties. They're not even. I don't know why Sanrio hasn't taken this down already. Like I do not know. And it is obviously like appropriative, I guess, because the half the lyrics are like kawaii, kawaii wa, except it's kawaii kawaii world, I guess, and it just doesn't. It just sounds like wa. Um, which I can see why people in Japan would be totally fine with it, but it does look very juvenile and obviously also very white. Notice no Asian people involved at all. So, boom, big red flag. Big red flag already here. So, like, while, like, I'm not trying to shit on it just to, like, be a big hater. Yeah, the choreography is super dance school. I'm not trying to be a big hater. I do think like simple choreography that's accessible to artists should be a thing. Like it doesn't have to always be hard. That's a whole other story. But you can tell that it's like kind of half baked in this video. So this would have been the point to say like, okay, I did not become an instant viral sensation pop star overnight, and that seems to be what I was trying to do. Does look like that's what he's trying to do. So maybe that would be the point to get some feedback to see if the we're going overboard on the Japan kawaii kawaii thing. Uh, and then also I mean I feel like this scene actually went well, but then like this whole background it doesn't look oh it doesn't look good. So just taking time to reflect on not just the racial thing, but like on your actual craft as a performer and looking at what pieces there are to improve. This whole stage would have been a really good time to look at it. And then you look at some of the pictures from that samurai princess, and you see that we're getting we have the same pink and these same pink and purple lights, which let's be fair, everyone's doing. Lady Gaga did it first. Um, and you can see that the aesthetic hasn't really changed. I think the biggest problem with this video going back is that as a performer, we kind of don't know which direction that Santi's going. To be honest, when I first looked at it, I wasn't actually sure it was a drag performer. I'm like, is this, or I wasn't sure that this person was AMAB. I'm like, what is? Are we just trying to be Rebecca Black here? Like, what is going on? Um, booty. Like, what a nice picture. And I feel like this would go over really well in an actual drag show, but at this point it's hard to tell, are you mocking what you're doing or are you playing it straight? And I feel like there's a really clear divide you need to clear when you're doing drag performances. Either you're doing a mockery of gender or whatever you're deconstructing, or you're playing it straight and you're being trying to be super talented. Uh, that's those are the two directions, and I feel like this video falls right in that uncanny valley, and I'm strongly strongly feel that the second video also did that. So we don't know if we are mocking Japanese culture or if we are trying to play it straight and be like a pop star. Right? We are we right down. We fell into the crevasse right down in the middle. Is what where I'm guessing the impact was, and where I'm why I'm thinking Shay Shay felt the need to like get make an intervention about this happen. Okay, the Japan references seem to be sometimes correct, and sometimes like they filled in the gaps with what they didn't know about Japan. If you live in Japan a while, you get a better idea of the kawaii aesthetics, and I think Santi maybe never went to Japan, at least not for a long time. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's not to say like I do think like if someone wants to be, I think, see, here's my well actually chiming in again with samurais and also with Harajuku culture. Nobody is holding Harajuku culture sacred. Harajuku culture is about consumerism. It's about being a kid with too much fucking money. You go on a weekend, you spend a bunch of money in Harajuku on like overpriced plastic kitschy garbage and you wear it. And you spend like literally the whole weekend just walking around wearing it and taking pictures. Like it's I'm not trying to shit on it because it's cool as fuck. It's a cool aesthetic, but that's what it is. It's about having money and spending it. It's about consumerism. It's about aesthetic. So and that's as deep as it go. There's nothing beneath that, right? A problem, a problem is when you go into America and you have just like normal people who maybe are Asian just minding their business and people being like, oh my god, so like, do you do the kawaii stuff? And oh my gosh, and let me tell you about all this Harajuku stuff that I saw. And like, I can see that that's really annoying. Haha, yep, that's Harajuku, right? I can see how that's really annoying being an Asian person and how like having that people like throw that at you all the time. So like, what about that kawaii stuff? Do you know all about the Hello Kitties? So I can see that being really annoying on the one hand, and also kind of being that like so like there's the ignorant half and then there's the dangerous half of this stereotyping, I guess. But the biggest problem about some of these stereotypes is that they're real in Japan. Like this is how some people are just like, yeah, I'm gonna dress up like Harajuku style and go walk around Shibuya, go walk around Harajuku, eat some fucking funnel cake, take some pictures with my friends, and then go home. And that's the whole. It's just it's real. That's what it is. Yeah, it's not a stereotype. So if you want to partake in that, it's like a hobby. It's a hobby. Like you want to partake in that, it's a real thing. Whereas other stereotypes, like, I mean, I okay, and then Shay Shay put up a story about not comparing it to the Black experience, but it is different. Wherein like the whole like so and so Black people are whatever people say about them. Maybe they'll say they're too loud or something, or too lazy or something, and those are absolutely not true. There isn't a whole there isn't a whole subculture around being lazy, although I feel like there should be. Um, but there's not an equivalent to that. Whereas with most of these things like martial arts and kung fu and things, there is an actual basis for that is in the home country. And that's actually kind of something else I wanted to talk about is does does someone like waving around the sword like a sword cause actual violence? Um, and I'm gonna say pretty clear no on that. It doesn't. There's no A to B on that. The problem with the violence is someone on the tube. That was the original situation for anyone who tuned in. Someone on the tube in London actually attacked this person, Jason Kwan, going like, "Ha ha, you know any kung fu? Kung fu boy, kung fu, and actually like started like throwing punches on a subway, which I totally believe would happen. But like that person took the stereotype and brought it into reality, which is like kind of different from the it's not an A to B arrow, right? That one does not lead to the other. It's still relevant. But anyway, I wanted to talk more about some other examples. I wanted to show you guys like the Chun Li Nikki video, just because I like it, and I wanted to do a little bit of compare. And it's also not fair because Chun like Nikki has. Let me just double check that the sound is off. Yes, Nikki has a whole team of people working to make sure that everything that she does is fire 100% of the time. So you can bet if she had self-produced, she would have like fucked up a lot more. There's this cool story. So like they've got like subtitles in Chinese. They got someone to put some Chinese. You can bet they hired someone who actually speaks Chinese. I don't know. I don't speak Chinese, but you can bet they got someone to do a half decent translation. And we have the purple lights. I'm just gonna skip around a little bit, but oh, it looks so good. We've got the Asian inspiration, but the center is not necessarily on like Asian stuff. It's about Nikki as being a fabulous goddess, and let us adorn her with the best this world has to offer. Oh, so not only is it using, it's obviously taking Asian stereotypes. It's not trying to erase the Asian stereotype. It's taking them, it's amplifying them. It's taking what is actually like real fashion and really at the high kind of pinnacle of its art, and then let's just drape Nicki Minaj with them, and it's magic. And of course, the choreography, or sorry, the videography is really good. Choreography is good too. It's nice. It's actually not. It's not even. Oh, it is hard. It's hard level. Level hard. Oh, and you can bet like the dance community here had a heyday with it. Um, there were so many TikTok videos. Everyone took the chance because I guess every Japanese teenager has a Chun Li outfit just in their closet because they were out on the TikTok doing the Chun Li cosplay. It was beautiful. I'm gonna say like Chun Li, everybody loves Chun Li. So like in this case, Nicki Minaj is singing about how much she likes Chun Li and Laura Croft and these kind of iconic, sexy, but very badass video game characters because she is a sexy badass video game character. So I'm all for it. Oh wait, no, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted. Hmm I wanted more. I had a video of just Chun Li being cool. Can I just say that Chun Li is dope? Um, and I don't know. Actually, there might be problems with. I'm gonna keep the sound off for this. Uh, there might be problems because Chun Li is a Chinese character in a Japanese game. But I mean, look at her. She's wearing a traditional outfit. She's really strong. She's thick. What's not to like about her? So I think she was really popular in China, and she's also really popular in Japan, and she's really cool. And that's the thing too, is like in both China and Japan, there is a tradition of martial arts and loving martial arts and feeling like everyone should learn martial arts even if you don't. It's a really good thing to learn it. So all these stereotypes of that every Asian knows martial arts, it's shitty, but also in China, in Japan, it's the real it's kind of the reality. like not everyone knows in martial arts in Japan, but like um and it is like people do make fun of foreigners who go like who think that everyone's a samurai and everyone who thinks that they're ninjas or something. People make fun of that. But like if you look at China, come on, if it's Nicki Minaj, you know it's gonna be all about Nicki Minaj, even if it's supposed to be about someone else. True, true. But why wouldn't it be? There's so much Nicki Minaj. There's so much of her glory. I love her. I'm sorry. I love Nicki Minaj. But right, where was I going with that? I lost it. Oh right. Yeah. So where did the stereotype come from? Did it come from people being racist about China or Japan? Well, like no, it came from like kung fu movies in the 50s and 60s. Like, see, I'm indulging my well actually impulse here. This is very okay. I guess this is for the white people. Once again, though, the issue with cultural appreciation wasn't the facts. It was the feelings, right? It was here's what's acceptable in our culture and here's what is not acceptable, and the law was laid down, right? Um but here's maybe one of the reasons why it's trickier to think about the Japanese and Chinese and Asian other Asians also get lumped in with this, right? Even if they're not actually Chinese or Japanese or Korean. But if you look, oh, I think I can turn. Can I turn on the sound for this? I'm not gonna risk it. But this is like a recolor of like an old Chinese movie. Let's just compare. No filters, look glorious, great skin, no breakouts. Maybe they did retouch out the breakouts. I don't know. Oh, but they don't look airbrushed to me. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna like geek out over the quality. Right. So wuxia genre, I didn't pronounce that right because I don't know any Chinese. I'm sorry. Is about like the larger than life mythical martial artists with magical powers. They are superhuman. It's like a tradition that started, I mean, almost okay, so like 70, 80 years ago that these were the culture that was coming out of China. There were Hong Kong movie makers, Beijing movie makers making these kung fu movies, right? Of like over the top, larger than life, um, badasses, basically. And I think it gets good. It gets good. Hang on. Where was it? Oh, people like throwing shit. He catches it with his chopsticks. It must have been so fun to make. That's why I love old films. You can get the original film, which are actually higher res than a digital 4K video. Good point. Yeah, I guess real film. Oh, oh, and she's so pretty. Oh my gosh, how did they get her looking? Oh, and look at these shots. Look at these vistas. They must have had a hike all day. Oh, like he just waved his sword around and then like they all fly away. Beautiful, beautiful. Love it. Um, Man, that must have been so like because like they had to get everything done with camera tricks or just like everyone being a good actor or whatever. Okay. So those were made, and then guess who came along? Jackie Chan, right? So we've got Jackie Chan, and then he was trying to do them more realistic, like so he actually did all his stunts. They weren't super fake. So I think both traditions, and I think you can watch some Jackie Chan. I'm not gonna show it. Um, but and of course that came then there came like the Jet Li stuff, which kind of brought back like the like let's make everyone fly stuff. And actually I don't know enough. I maybe I should try and get my friend on because I have a friend who really knows all of these Chinese and Japanese movies, these old ones, knows all the good stuff. I know literally nothing about them, but I know that it exists. And if you were to go to China, they have a lot of government programs that, like in PE, you have to learn some Tai Chi. Um, they really do encourage this tradition of martial arts. So while in America and in the UK and being an expat and just being a normal freaking person, I'm sorry, like I'm not very good at checking the chat. So YouTube, if anyone's chatting, okay, you can't chat because I'm checking it now. Um, you can chat. Uh, Anywho, in actual China and actual Japan, there are people actually actively encouraging this. Whereas I think a lot of other races, the stereotypes that they have to deal with are not real, but with specifically China and Japan, they are real and they are actively encouraged here. Like they in China, they want everyone to know some martial arts. It's the whole thing. Watch a Buster Keaton film sometime. Jackie Chan's jokey get hurt stunt style was totally taken from him. Jackie always mentions that was more his inspiration than just kung fu movies. He wanted to meld those two styles. Yeah, Jackie Chan movies are like they're good. They're hilarious. I mean, probably it's hard to watch older movies from a perspective of now, but thinking about what it took to make that, I find is really entertaining. And I'm sure just at the time it was just like mind blowing. And imagine like there was a whole like boomers, there was a whole generation where the only exposure they had to Asian looking people was like kung fu movies. So that's probably why the stereotype exists. Is it a bad thing? Should Jackie Chan have not made movies? Of course not. That's stupid. But like that's part of why we are where we are. So it's not because someone made art that involves Chinese aesthetics. It's because those aesthetics have already made their way into culture and blended with the racism that was already there. There were other stereotypes that were super racist from before, like that Chinese people. I'm just trying to like look at like the surface area. Like back then, but we don't say now. It's like people used to think that Chinese people were dirty, and like when there was actual plagues, like the last plague, they blamed Chinese people for that as well. Um, and also, what was the other one? I think that was part of it. Is like, and I guess too, they kind of go on like the whole like people eating dogs or whatever, um, and that being I guess dirty or something. But I think a lot of people grow up insulated from that, and then we just see the cool karate stuff. So there are some people where those tropes are all blended together in this like very gross negative way, and then there's a lot of people who are just kind of happily oblivious to that. So I think the once again the two prongs of that, being oblivious, being like, oh well, it's just cool, and then actual racists, actual violent ass people kind of end up both doing the same shit. So I can see that. I don't know why I like have my fist like this. Um, but that's a problem. I don't see how not engaging with cultures different from your own would solve that issue. And that is, I don't see that as a solution. And I think that as speaking as a white person, I think for other white people, I'm going to not recommend shying away. So, and I think what happened is probably Sandy Storm was aware that the culture that what he was doing was appropriative and was getting good feedback from Japan and took it that to be a fact that everything's fine here, no problem. I don't need to engage. I don't need to do anything difficult. It's fine, and then kind of took that as a way to just say, okay, I'm not going to engage. And then what I'm wondering now is Sandy Storm going to rebrand? Is Sandy Storm going to take all of the Japanese stuff out of this act? Are we going to stop with the Hello Kitty titties? Is that what we're going to do? Because I would dare say, you like my good guide pose? You like that? Um, Yeah. Okay, I did do martial arts. So I'm gonna do them effeminately. Get out of here, all of you. Um, so I think that that's the wrong move though, to completely shy away and be like, okay, I'm gonna only do cheerleader stuff or whatever. I mean, you could, but I think okay, white processing time, conclusions. Okay, um, cultural appropriation, cultural appropriation is about respecting people. Is about respecting people. Done. Cultural appropriation discussions are about respecting people. It's not about culture point X and factually what its history is. That's not the issue. The issue is if people come to you and say, "Hey, all this stuff is happening in the context of our reality of coronavirus, of being personal, like being assaulted, of having hate crimes," and then you basically doing the exact same thing that those people doing the assaulting things doing and being in my community, right? This was a call in because these people were in the same performance community, right? So it's about respecting people and context. Right? So that's the context in which it sucked. If this person were living in Japan, if Sandy Storm lived in Japan, Sandy would probably be big and super popular and actually wouldn't be hurting people in the same way that he was. Why? Because American people don't give a crap what they're doing here in Japan. I mean, usually things don't make it that far. So this person in the UK would not have had it rudely shoved in their face at the least inopportune moment. Okay? So I think that's a big part of it. So I think the recommendation though is don't don't run away. Don't run away. Don't run away. If you like Japanese aesthetics and you want to say kawaii, say kawaii. Don't be a weenie. Don't be a weenie. Okay? But if you are a performer, if you're trying to like make money, if you're trying to make it big, then you should be having conversations. Have conversations with people in your community and make sure that includes people of color. If you look around and there are only white people in the room, you fucked up already. You fucked up because um unless you are like literally in the whitest of Kentucky. Like I'm not saying you should go and like drag someone in from the grocery store just because they're a person of color. But if you're in a community where there are no people of color, where they have said, okay, this is too much, this is exhausting, I can't be here because it's antagonistic, they've already said that, so they've left, they're gone, then you've already fucked up, right? So you need to be being able to say, okay, so this is cool. How do I stand this whole community of Asian performers? I love Asian stuff too. How do I how do I shout out their work? How do I have conversations with these people? Right? They're both in the UK. Like how hard is it to make a to network and have at least one person on your team who knows something about Chinese or Japanese culture? I only do my martial arts effeminately. That's the right way. That is the correct way to do martial arts. Is effeminately. Okay, we're going back to the mood board. So and okay, mood board. This is the well actually coming back in. See, I think that Shay Shay's argument, and if Shay Shay ever watches this, I'm sorry, like, don't, uh, you don't have to. You don't have to. Nothing to see here. But saying that someone's mood board has white people and that it's based off of white culture, I think that that's like or sorry, based off of like white people appropriating Asian culture. That's like such a mixed up bag of worms that it doesn't make any sense. And these are so like here we have Chun Li. Like you can be inspired by Chun Li. It's not against like what isn't everyone inspired by Chun Li every day? I just see. I think throwing the facts in just fucks with things because it's not about the facts. Because if you were to litigate, like, okay, is this a video game costume that's appropriated from Asian? I mean, it's a leotard. It looks like a bathing suit. Are bathing suits from Asian culture? I don't know. I'm not that much of a historian. The end result of like this costume is it doesn't actually look that Asian to me. I can see how we've got like a little loincloth going on, but if we were to litigate how Asian this costume is, like I don't know, not very. We've got the sword, yeah, but like that's not what I want to litigate. I feel like if anything, we are copying Lady Gaga, we are copying Montero. That's what I'm worried about. Is that like I think we can chill a little bit on the pink and purple. We've been doing it for a year. Hmm. So that's um that's where we are. That's where we are a little bit. I'm thinking then we can say maybe don't get bogged down in fact finding. Don't get bogged down in fact finding. I'm thinking that for probably anyone that's maybe a good recommendation is I think if you're a person of color and somehow watching this, thanks I guess. After me being like very white through this whole stream, ooh, embarrassing. People shouldn't respect you because like it's factual that this cultural item X was venerated in X culture. Like it's because you're a human being and your feelings are important and you're a valid member of society and of our culture, and if something makes you feel uncomfortable, then uh that shouldn't that should be respected. Like that's why it's not about like samurais in 1876 did this. um it's not what it's about. And like likewise for white people, when people are saying listen, it's not listen to find an answer, it's listen to empathize with someone's very real feelings and experience. Okay, so if you're listening to cultural appropriation and it sends you into this very cerebral sort of, well, this one's okay and this one's not. I would never be a geisha, but I will be a samurai. Or you can't be Mulan, or but you can be Belle. Like if you get into those um, thoughts, you're on the wrong track. I think we are on you're on the wrong track. Mhm. And I think too, an important thing for us white people to remember is that actions have, should I say reproduction? Reproduction. Actions are reproductive. Uh, Actions have, let's say, consequences, right? So if someone valid in your community, someone who is a part, an active person in your community, has a criticism and you ignore the criticism, that may have consequences for you in that community that you are a part of. Right? So when you are thinking about how do I balance, like, oh, I'm afraid to say something, but I'm afraid someone will criticize it, and then oops, I said something and five people criticized me in different directions, probably evaluating, okay, what is my cultural context that I am in? If it's Twitter, then close your computer, shut down your phone, throw it in a lake, and go touch grass. If it's anywhere else, then think about uh, what the context is that you're in, and are your actions actually hurting people in that context where you are making contact with people on a daily basis. And that could be online, or that could be, within the context of a certain community. Um, if it's some random 14-year-old troll criticizing you, you don't have to like obey them. Just like sometimes it's just like, yeah, like I think here what Sunny Storms did is said, "Oh, okay, uh, I hear you. I'm not going to take my video down." And in this case, I think it was the wrong choice because Santi Storm basically did not respect anyone in his actual community of drag performers in the UK. How big a community is that going to be? Probably quite small. And like I said, this whole group of Asian performers got together to write a really like have a really nice dialogue with this person. That's that course of action would maybe be appropriate if it was just some random like 4chan troll or whatever. Um or saying like, okay, I'll do better next time. That's like a valid thing to do. You could do that. But it will have like different actions that you have will have consequences. If you decide to piss off an entire community, they're gonna be pissed off and they're gonna shit on you, and that's just what it is. It doesn't mean that like you should be like murdered, right? Anything that goes to the harassment level, I think, is not good. But I think that's just an important thing to think about. It's interesting how white cultural appropriation doesn't take over regular life, only hobbies and entertainment. Not like how Japan adapted its entire society to integrate within itself lots of European and American elements, but are now considered the average lifestyle. Like the drunk salaryman who can only become a samurai when he's drinking with his buddies and wears his tie as a headband. Yeah, so I think that's a real difference too, is when you're looking at, say, you're trying to judge how you feel about something. Okay, for this is I'm talking to white people still. I'm only talking to white people right now. If you're trying to judge, like, okay, is I'm looking at a thing, I'm looking at a piece of media, is it cultural appropriation? Um, it might just be cultural exchange. How do I tell the difference? And I think that's a real hard one. That's a real hard one. Um, and I think the key impact is someone getting hurt from it, and is someone profiting off of that hurt, right? And Japan appropriates culture all the time, and I feel like there needs to be a discussion about um, uh, about like actually like the financial implications, because I think that could be taken more into play in Japan. Like a lot of the time, Japan will do the same thing that they do in America and take a lot of uh, like black aesthetics and things like that and put it into their art, and then just sort of do it and not actually hire black people to do it, which they should. Um, but if you're making something and you're on a project and it makes you feel squidgy and bad, I think you should definitely speak up. And also, there was a whole team of people working on Sandy Storm's project and Sandy Storm's video, who were all on the same Instagram. Like you see people, you know that they're there, so you could ask a question, get a consult, like talk to somebody, talk to somebody about like whether your gigantic candy looks like it came from like a freaking Halloween haunted ride. Sorry, I'm gonna be petty now. This is a decent shot, but they color corrected. Oh, they took it out. Okay, well now I'm gonna go back to the. I want you guys to know. Okay, you can look it up again. The Kawi one. Did Santi come out of the blue recently with this? Because he doesn't have as huge communities I expect for the production values. At least look at them. Well, the thing too, it's let me tell you, like you can do amazing things with self production these days. You can do like you thought Rebecca Black was a thing, but like if you got a little bit of money, you don't need a lot now to like look, they had to rent a set, did a bathroom, got some ooh lights. Ooh, and I did want to show you actually. Okay, let me show off. Let me show off. There's this video that came out, and I watched it, and I was like cringing a little bit, but then I was like, it should get a pass completely. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. So just for background, there's this song called Ninja by a person, Tisha, and I can't share the audio with you, but you can look it up on your secondary device. Or oh no, that's not what I want. Oh, this is a person talking about it. Yeah, the first lyrics are me no Chinese, me no Japanese, me no Siamese, hiya. And then like it's talking about like got my nunchucks. And then the hook is like sing song sing, sing song sing. It's like really bad. It's terrible. And there's like the lyrics are all mixed up with Japanese and Chinese tropes. Um, what was the one thing? But the hook, sorry, I don't know, sing something. It goes through the whole thing. This is important for the video because you're gonna watch it without music. Um, the hook is it actually sounds really good. It's actually really slapping. It's so slapping. Like goes do 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 do. It's really good actually. So the song sounds great. The lyrics sound like my second grade playground. They're terrible. They're terrible. But my favorite dance teacher did a collaboration with this other really amazing dance teacher. They did a self production. They rented a house in the out there, a big house, and they did a whole movie. And I want to show it to you, a whole dance video, just for fun. They just did it. Look how many views it has. It has 306 views. Please share this video, by the way. I don't even. I'm sorry. I do not care how shitty and racist this song is. They just heard it. They don't know the lyrics. They don't know it comes from a playground. But they're like, this slaps. And like, yes, hey, I am a ninja. What the fuck? Who cares? I was like, I'm a ninja. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now because it's so good. There's no sound for the first part. It's just the subtitle. Can you see it? Okay. He's also a drag performer, by the way. I love it so much. Okay, and the music's starting now. No, no, it's not. I lied. Okay, it's like boop 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 is how it's going. Dun, 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 dun. And now here it's racist now. Look at the costumes. I love them so much. Now they're going like sing song sing. Now it's like I'm a ninja. I'm a ninja. Got my nunchucks. Those are literally the lyrics to this. Okay, and it's the same two people. This is two people. I love it so much. I love it so much. And look at this. Look how short. He's just wearing armor over his little pants. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. But like that was self-produced, and like what did they have to? They rented. I mean, I'm sure it was a little bit pricey to rent out this like place in the countryside, but I'm so probably not that much. And then I'm sure they got someone. They got someone who knows what they're doing with the cinematography. But the costumes, I think, would be their direction. And then they had to like get some connections for someone who knows how to do the kimono right, because that's hard. But the kimono look, hang on, kimono looks so good. It's a pro. Look at the status. Look at the stat. Okay, like it's clear that Aveko Mama is like lower status than like Miwa Mama. Um, oh, look at this kimono. So pretty. And then okay, and look at this house, look at the rooms, look at the shoji, look at how beautifully painted they are. Sorry, I'm this is just media critique now. Um we've got the money, did some nice props. I think this was the roof, the ceiling was painted like this. So they just really used like every inch of this set. I love it. And then choreography is so cute. And then I love this part where they were fighting. So love it. Love it. Uh so this part, like you can tell, like it took some camera tricks to get it done. Because here's Aveko and here's Miwa, and then there's Aveko and there's Miwa, right? And then they are fighting. So they did this they did they actually film that in Japan? That's what I'm curious. Yeah, it's in Japan. I can't remember where. He put on his stories like where it was. This is like my dance teacher who I used to. I don't go all the time now because he's like raking in the big bucks right now, which is good. I want him to rake in the big butts. Ugh. Want him to rake in the money so that he can keep doing this. So yeah, they had this like little special effect when they're like, haha, we're gonna escape. And this is it's so good. And like, okay, so let's talk about it. If I were being a shit, I could say, okay, you picked a song that has racist lyrics. You shouldn't do this video. You should take it down, right? And that's like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm caricaturing white people here, maybe, but like, I feel like there are some white people who would say that. And like, unfortunately, like nobody ever like watches actual fucking art that Japan puts out because like 306 views. Like, how is that even? People watch it on Instagram. He's got like a lot of followers on Instagram. Anyway, you could say that, but the lyrics are incredibly simple and it's kind of making a mockery of Japanese and Chinese culture, I think. So would I feel even more uncomfortable if it were white people doing it? Yes. But like he's like, yes, I am an effeminate ninja. Rawr. Perfect. Got my nunchuck. Yes. So I feel like not only is it that he is Japanese, but the execution matters. Okay. Execution matters in such a big way. Oh, you like my mic? Brr. It's because I'm trying to listen to the sound and describe it to you guys. I actually don't need it anymore though. Um, but I think it's important to understand who is being targeted and who is being hurt. And in this case, literally zero people were being hurt. Some Japanese people thought these lyrics speak to me because they're like kind of ridiculous, like nunchucks. Uh, and it does have like, and that's the thing too is like some of the musical elements are like sound traditional Asian-y, and like that's an aesthetic that worked. So like that's what's annoying with some of this stereotype stuff is that like it's actually like real culture that people like. So, but once again, like I don't think a white person would at all have looked good doing this video, but you could have. I think it's you can see here that we're not actually making fun of real people. The geisha are actually portrayed as like really nice looking, and like yeah, the ninjas are like silly because they're supposed to be like bad or whatever. I don't know. Like I just they're not making fun of the actual culture. They're just making a funny story. That didn't really. It's hard. It's hard to pull something off. Is what I'm trying to say, and it's hard to tell if you are pulling something off. Which once again is why if you want to make something that has features from a culture, it's good to it's good to have feedback and to be collaborating with people who know whether you're actually pulling something off or not. It's the thing. Like Nicki Minaj, I feel like pulled off her video because she has a whole team of people making sure she's pulling it off. Like that's like literally probably what some people were paid to do. What annoys me though, like I was reading this blog post about the song, this Hayas song, and like some of it once again I feel got caught up in facts. The lyrics to Haya are not hard to understand, and I fail to see how they could be misinterpreted. Not only does the song provide no more of more than a caricature of Asian cultures, it perpetuates the misconception that all Asian cultures are the same. If Koryo had performed in fake Native American outfits with painted faces to a song making fun of and trivializing Native American culture, would we have been so accepting? If the routine had been set to a song caricaturing Mexican Americans or African Americans, would we have so easily laughed it off? Um, and this is not in response to the actual video. I think it's in response to the original, which I have not seen and I don't care about. Oh, it was at yeah, I don't care about it. I don't care about the original. Uh, but I think this comparison stuff is definitely yeah not a good idea. And it did. Shay went ahead and posted an update, which I kind of liked. Let me see if I can get the sound back on. Once I turn it off, it like disappears into the dust. Is it still up on stories? Yeah. And can I just say I do like while I'm in this media critique mode, um, this whole setup, the necklace, the yellow shirt, the piercings, I love it. Um, okay, no, I'm gonna find the sound, I promise. Oh, it's this sound. That's the sound
My
I need.
intention was, but intention is not as important as impact. The impact and pain and
I think
hurt
this
that
sounds
this
cool.
has caused to Asian people is much more important than what Santi set out to do in the first place. I'd like to give you an example of something that I did in this process. I tried to explain why Samurai Princess was wrong by creating comparisons to Black and Indigenous representation. My intention was to try to explain if these things are obviously wrong, then why is this also obviously wrong? That was my intention. But the impact was that Black and Indigenous people, by hearing these things that I made up off the top of my head, were re triggered and re traumatized in the process. This hadn't crossed my mind. But
Mm.
that's not important. My intention's not important. The impact is what is important. I was so lucky to have a friend and an ally call in and let me know, hey, in doing this, you have again drawn on other races to try to explain your own trauma. You've dragged us into this and in turn have triggered many people. So this is a reminder to Asians and other people of color when you're explaining your own oppression, trauma, the racism you experience, you do not need to draw comparisons to other ethnic groups because A, it shouldn't have to be done. It should speak for itself. And B, the only people that help is the white people, but it comes at the expense of other people of color. And the learning of white people should never come at the expense of other people of color.
Mm. So I liked that, and I think that it is really common that people will be like, okay, here's a list of all the things you're not allowed to do for cultural appropriation. Just don't do any of the things on this list. And then you're good. And I think that that's a really um, misinformed thing to try to do. And then also, you run into the same pit, I think, when you say, oh, you shouldn't do this because it's like that. Whereas, like, we just went and talked about the context of why some of these stereotypes exist, of uh, how kung fu movies are a big thing, how Harajuku stuff is a big thing, and they're actually very like in some ways like Harajuku culture is like very very shallow, and kung fu and like martial arts culture as a signifier of the Chinese nationality are very strongly positively reinforced by those actual communities. But that doesn't match up necessarily with any other culture. Like cultural appropriation for for black people is like really really different because um there's not like a culture that's saying, hey, like you should all believe this stereotype, right? They're stereotypes that have been forced on black people. And then like see I'm trying to explain it without falling into the pits that I'm just saying. And then like with Native American culture, a lot of those things have religious significance, and in this case, like it just doesn't match up. None of these things have religious significance, so you can get caught up once again with getting mucked up in the facts, and then you can also uh, cause cause other people to be like, ew, why are you comparing these two things that aren't at all similar? And the only people who are going to get that feeling are the people who are at the butt of that V. Okay, I made a V, right? I made a V earlier with my hands. Here's the V. Here's the V. The first V is people being racist motherfuckers, like happen on the subway. The second V is people ignorantly, for funsies, saying the same thing, right? So person got attacked on the samurai, like, hey, kung fu guy, and actually physically got attacked by a weird racist. And then same day, they see a video by their fellow drag performer who's supposed to be like safe, supposed to be safe space. Your Instagram is supposed to be safe. Instagram's for only funsies. And they get hit with both of those things, like this kung fu LOL kind of culture, and then it causes hurt, right? So the only person who's going to see that is the person who's at the end of that V. Yeah. And I think everything is different. So like maybe say like every situation is different. So if you think about it that way, then you can't just say, okay, this is super obvious. Oh my god, um, because that's the whole point. Is it's not obvious. It's only obvious to some people in the community, and you need to rely on communication for them to tell you, hey, I'm a member of this community, and this has hurt me. And you need to, and I'm saying this in this tone of voice because it is everyone else's responsibility then to elevate that concern and say, okay, concern, should I say concern? To elevate that, to let that person's voice be heard, to find ways in that community to mitigate that harm and to make that a safe space again, right? Because then we don't have the V, we just have the racists over here, and then the ignorant people need to like also be combating racism, right? That's yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. So the answer to it, once again, too, is not to run away and just never talk to Asians. Just Just don't have any friends who are Asian. Don't let them see you do anything at all, or else they'll think that you're appropriating. Because that doesn't do anything against racism. You have to actually have those conversations, and actually engage with them. So I'm willing to say then too that just be just because someone has a piece of art that has some element of Asian culture, you can't from those two facts know if it's bad or not. I'm trusting that it's bad because a whole group of people got up and said this is bad. You shouldn't do it. Stop it. Right. So that's how I know it's bad. As I'm pretty sure that they looked at it and it was bad. And that's how we know. I think I'm about. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, you can probably follow these people because they're cool. You should follow me too while we're at it. Follow me on Twitch, on YouTube. I'm gonna be streaming every Saturday. I'm gonna try to talk about important stuff. And then also just hanging out as well. Basically on topics that I think that I have something to add with. So feel free to definitely follow me on the Twitch and on the YouTube, and also on Instagram. I have a nice Instagram too. Um, because yeah, I want to talk to people and form communities and all of that. Also, hey, follow these dance people. Shit, they need more views. You guys should spread this stuff around. I mean, it's problematic, sure, but like literally their culture, and they're like, yes, I'm an effeminate ninja. So it spoke to them. What? What? Aveko is the queen. Aveko is the queen. He's a drag performer and also has a dance studio. And then Miwa is also a really famous. I haven't taken her lessons, but she's a really famous choreographer and dancer here. So they are worth finding. Find them on Instagram. Follow them. Recommend it. They will make your life better. Oh, Aveko does these. That's not the only one. He's got more. I'll find excuses to show the other ones. You just wait. But yeah, and also I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say, enjoy. I want to recommend, like, enjoy your life. Like, if you like a thing, I just want to add this because, like, I don't want to be like negative. Oh, thank you. Bye, Ashley. Um, enjoy your life. If you like a thing, if you like Harajuku style and you just want to wear it, then like wear it, yo. I no, who cares? Live your life. Um, if you run into problems, have a conversation. It's fine. They're just people. People. Enjoy your life. Make art. Um, swing a sword effeminately, because that is the way that swords must be swung. But then also respect other human beings. They're important. It's important to respect people. So yeah, I think I'm gonna log off. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please feel free to send me a message. I've had, like, to be honest, what, 8 people max or something on this stream. I really appreciate you tuning in. Uh, I would probably be a little bit more careful if I were bigger. So just prefacing that. But yeah, please do feel free to send me a PM or anything like that about it. I would appreciate that. That'd be cool. And yeah, I hope you have a really nice rest of your Friday night or Saturday day if you're out here.